All right, good evening, everyone, and thank you and welcome to joining the Royal Foundation Wellness on Wednesday, where we will be discussing a very important topic that is should be important in all of our lives around the area of healthy lifestyle. We're going to be talking about healthy eating. We have two amazing and distinguished guests with us tonight, and that would be River Lewis along with Maria Kelly. I am going to support them in introducing themselves in just a few moments. I do want to give a couple of instructions. If you are tuning in to this channel, you will not be seen nor heard, but your questions will be seen and validated in the question box. And so we will capture those questions and try to answer them as promptly as possible. I would imagine that this discussion is going to be pretty lengthy on this particular topic. And so we're going to do our best to try to address and answer each question. Again, this is coming to you through Royal Missionary Baptist Church, the Royal Foundation, and we would like to take this time as well to thank Royal Missionary Baptist Church along with all of the staff at the Royal Foundation. And of course, we could not do this without our technical support, which is behind the scenes, but very supportive. And so, what we're going to do, we're going to start our discussion for the evening. We'll be on for 1 hour. And if you're not able to capture it right now, and if, of course, you want to go back, this will be listed on the Royal Foundation's website, along with YouTube and Facebook. So thank you again. I guess it would help if I reintroduce myself. My name is Marcus, Mr. Wellbeing. I am the founder and training director for Holy City Wellbeing Mental Wellness Training Group. I travel throughout the nation facilitating mental wellness trainings, and I'm actually on the road right now, and it's my distinct honor to be your moderator for the evening. Um, I want to allow our guests to go ahead and support this process by introducing themselves to the group. And I'm going to ask Maria Kelly, would you like to introduce yourself first, please?
Good evening. Thank you all so much for inviting me. I'm honored to be a part of this group and to share my maybe experience and ongoing learning of food and the role that it plays in not just our own health, but also the health of our community. I'm the founder and executive director of Amor Healing Kitchen, AMOR, Spanish for love. Love is the foundation of everything that we do here. So we are a nonprofit organization that prepares and delivers nourishing, locally sourced, plant-based meals to people in our community who are facing serious health challenges. The majority of our clients are facing either a cancer diagnosis, type 2 diabetes, or heart disease. We do have some other conditions that we serve, but those are kind of the three biggest buckets of conditions that our clients are facing. We deliver the meals every week to our clients' homes free of cost. And we bring in high school volunteers to teach them culinary skills and nutrition, and they prepare the meals for our clients. So it's a way for us to hopefully plant a seed in our youth of how to be active participants in service and in shaping the health and the positive state of our community, that it really takes active participation in order for that to happen. So we love having them with us, and hopefully they carry some of the culinary knowledge and nutrition knowledge into their adult lives is our hope. And we also work with our local farmers and local growers We have a lot of community partnerships so that we are providing access to the highest quality ingredients to everyone because everyone deserves access is what we believe, that everyone deserves access to fresh and healthy foods, which we have in abundance here in the Low Country. We just need to be able to get it out to everyone. So that is us in a nutshell. We are in our 7th year of operations. So since starting, we have delivered over 90,000 meals to people in our community. So thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to learning from River and Marcus and hearing everyone's questions.
Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you. And River Lewis.
Good afternoon. Well, good evening, everyone. I just want to take some time to thank everybody that played a hand in putting this together. I think it's really amazing to cultivate, right, and the importance of having these conversations, especially, within the community. Miss Kelly, I just kind of want to take my hat off to you for the amazing work that you're doing in the community. I really think it's amazing because you really are planting those seeds, right? And you're starting young, especially getting high schoolers involved. So super excited to hear more about what you're doing in the community. But good evening, everyone. My name is River Lewis. I'm the founder of the Moon, Sun, and River, a holistic wellness brand that focuses on creating treasures for the mind, body, home, and soul. And just to emphasize, when we talk about health, we should look at it from a holistic standpoint. So it's more than just what you put in your body. It's the thoughts you think, the people you keep around yourself, your nervous system, all of that. I'm so super excited to get into this conversation and be a part of it, and excited to see where this conversation goes.
Yeah, and thank you both. I can't stress enough of just how I'm appreciative, first of all, to see you two, two of my favorite people that always have great aura, demeanor, character, flavor, whatever you want to call it. Whenever I'm with either one of you, I get something from you. So I thank you personally, and for carving time out of your day. I know that both of you all are busy, and this means a lot to me personally, along with all of the listeners. So thank you for what you do. And by the way, to the listeners, they have shared a little bit about them. I do want you to, before we get off the line, I want to allow them some space to leave some contact information, of course, to Google them. They shared a little bit about themselves, but they are doing so much more in the community with so many people. So thank you so much. I want to start out actually with a statement and turn it into a question. About 2 weeks ago, I was at the graduation of my cousin, who is now a doctor, who graduated from Old Dominion University. She is a doctor now, and the professor of the hour that conducted the speech for all of the graduates, him being a professor and a doctor, he started out with this statement. He said, "This may not be a popular statement, but I want to challenge you and encourage you that during the time of your diagnosis, you also have an accountability to each and every person that you diagnose to support them and direct them in a healthy lifestyle so that they don't remain in their diagnosis, that it has an opportunity to be changed and reversed with healthy eating." Um, just want to throw the question out that coming from at a graduation for doctors at Old Dominion University, how has healthy eating and the healthy eating lifestyle affected you both individually? And River, I think because Maria went first the last
All right,
time,
perfect. Yeah,
you
yeah,
should
no, no,
go.
I got you. All right, so for me personally, so when I was a child, I had seizures, really bad seizures up until the age of about 5 or 6. And one of the things that my mom noted was when she stopped feeding me red meat, the seizures started to go away. So even from a young child, I just started to become a little bit more aware of the things that I was putting in my body, right? And I also had really bad eczema and things like that when I was a child. So growing up, I really had to be aware. I feel like, we all kind of go to our cousins' cookouts, Thanksgiving, and all of that, like as we grow up, right? But I think it really didn't start to click until I got to college. While I was in Morehouse, I really had the opportunity to take control of what I was putting in my body. And the one thing that really kind of stuck out to me was I wanted to have a big family, right? So I thought about it in the context of like a printer, right? And I thought all a printer wants to do is make the perfect carbon copy of itself, right? So what does a printer need in order to do that? It needs the best quality inks. So when I thought about it from that perspective, I was like, I have to put the best quality food in my body if I would like, if I wanted to become the best and perform at the best of my ability. So even, while I was at college, when I was in college, I, started off as like a pescatarian. Did that for about 2, 3 years. Then around like my junior year of college, I became a vegetarian. And then from there, I've just gone deeper and deeper and deeper until, now, I've been high raw for about 4 or 5 years now. So it's honestly just taken me to the next level because as I grew up and I kind of found myself, I always told myself I wanted to be the best, right? So in order to be the best, I had to put the best in my body, not just what I ate, the people I kept around myself, the thoughts that absorbed my head, right? So I think for me, it it started when I was a young kid. And then as I got the opportunity to actually pour into myself, I made it a mission that I took this serious because I think as a child, one of the biggest things that scared me was all adulthood looked like was I grew up to get high blood pressure or a heart attack and die, right? So to me, I was frustrated, right? And that's part of the reason why I created the Moon, Sun, and River. It was out of frustration because I saw that my community, they were dying of these things that could be reversed through healthy eating. So to me, once I started to do that real research and understanding, and I was around different people, it really kind of just clicked to me. And I was just like, it's in the food. Everything is in the food, right? So as I continue to grow and as I continue to pour into myself, I realized that in order for me to become the best, I needed to put the best in my body. And honestly, it's just shown me discipline. It's shown me self-love, and it's shown me how to position and protect myself in a way that would really lighten the load and clear the path for me.
Thank you so much, River. Maria.
Well, I don't want to answer after River anymore because
It's gonna happen regardless. I can already tell, and I don't want to answer after either one of you. I'm gonna sit back, and I would love to hear your input on the.
yeah, actually first the quote that you said from that speaker I think was really powerful, especially coming from the medical community. I
Yes,
read something several months ago that said people make a lot of money. People make a lot of money in our society treating sickness. No one makes a lot of money preventing illness. So to start flipping the script in our medical community so that there is a focus on nutrition and holistic treatment of these patients so that they can eventually not come to them anymore. That should really be the goal, and the way our model our healthcare model has shifted. It's certainly in more of a, patients are in and out real quick. So I really think that's a powerful speech to graduates that are now going to be moving into the medical community. I love it. I do have uh, quite a bit of quite a bit in common with River. So I grew up. My mom was from Bolivia. And so I did not grow up with fast food or anything like that. She worked two jobs, but somehow still cooked food. We ate dinner together. So I did grow up eating whole foods, which I'm very thankful for. I grew up in the kitchen with my mom, learning how to cook. So I did have that instilled in me. However, I also grew up with severe cases of asthma and eczema, very severe. And that kind of carried throughout all of my college, throughout till I was in college, and I had a roommate that was vegetarian. And we shared groceries, and I slowly started to eat less meat, really. And I started to notice a difference within months of just using my inhaler a little less, having a little less eczema, just not as severe of cases. Um, During that time, I also started practicing yoga and learning a lot about the idea or the concept of non-harming. Um, and I started to kind of go down the rabbit hole of our factory farming practices in this country and the way that we treat animals. And I started to realize that didn't align with my idea of um, living a kind and peaceful life. And I decided to become a vegetarian in 1999. So that was 25 years ago, 26 years ago. I'm still alive, everyone. And I have muscles under this sweatshirt, so it's possible. But a few years later, I started reading a lot about dairy and the effects that it can have on your system. And I slowly started to cut out dairy, and I completely got rid of all eczema. And I have not used an inhaler in maybe 5 years, after having it for 27 some years of my life, 30. So I haven't used an inhaler really in the last decade. So I don't know if I can say that that works for everyone, but it certainly worked for me. I feel um, just a lot lighter in life. I have a lot of energy, in my late 40s now. And I think, the science is really starting to catch up as well for those that need that to kind of support. For me, it's experience. If I feel better eating certain ways, living my life in certain ways, then to me that the proof is in the pudding. But now the science is really starting to catch up. And if you look at all of the major cancer centers in the United States, the Mayo Clinic, I'm blanking on the other, MD Anderson, they all really promote more plants. That we are, a lot of people are so concerned when they hear that you are vegan, vegetarian, well, what about your protein? I bet no one on here knows anyone who is protein deficient, but what almost everyone in America is deficient in is fiber. And fiber comes from plants. So that I think is also something to really look at. But so yeah, I think really changing, not just changing the way I eat, but really like looking at where my food comes from, making food be a conscious decision, um, has an effect on our whole being. It really does. And it makes you feel grateful for every morsel because you think of the farmers that put their blood, sweat, and tears into growing that food, and then you eat with that kind of intention in your mind. I think it can be really powerful. It might not have you know, data that I can cite behind it, but I truly feel, I mean, look at River, he's glowing. So
Yeah. Well, it's funny you said that, and thank you to both of you for answering that question. It's funny you said that to look at River, because before we came on the air, I was sharing with Maria. I said, Maria, you look like a middle schooler about to go to high school, which goes into um, what a statement I'm about to make that is very familiar to all of us. And again, major shout out to the keynote speaker of Old Dominion University, whose first words was his first statement was, "This is not going to be a popular statement." And so I'm really grateful for him sharing that. The phrase, "You are what you eat," is a very familiar phrase that I know from my childhood. I can see that on both of you all. I hope you can see it on me. I too have shedded about somewhere between 15 to 18 pounds. It's fluctuated. But in my realm that I'm in, mental wellness, um, which goes along with 5 key recovery concepts, in addition to healthy eating and medication management, I too, as River, have seen the meds bottle in Grandma and Papa's cabinet. I had previously seen it in parents' cabinet, and I wanted to have the opportunity to change the path and the trajectory for generations to come. The phrase, "You are what you eat." How affordable is it? And I know the answer to this question because I've been privileged to taste River's food, and I've been privileged to taste Maria's food. In fact, the first time I had your food, Maria, we were having an event at Home Radio, and your young adults or teens were serving, and I was basically like, "How can I get another plate? Who fixed this food?" River also has a very good food where he's at, and I'm going to let him leave his location. But the phrase, "You are what you eat," could you share with us how affordable is it to eat healthy? And Maria, I know you are destroying stigmas around this, and I would like for you to answer first, and then River, how affordable is it to eat healthy? Because I hear you say, we hear you say, the listeners hear you say about this eating lifestyle, and there's been this stigma around it's too expensive. How affordable is it to eat healthy?
uh it is affordable. It can be affordable. I think what you spend is time. So you have to be willing to invest time into meal prepping. I think that at least that's what I've found is kind of the obstacle. Access is also definitely an issue. And there are organizations, not just us, but other organizations that are addressing that very obstacle in our community. Because the way that our cities have been built and planned are, it really neglects the planning neglects large portions of our city planning, large portions of our community. So I think that is an issue, but I think there are definitely ways that you can work around that. Yeah, so what I think is it takes planning. I think eating healthy has become slightly stigmatized into that it has to be exotic. We don't
Yes.
use any exotic ingredients in our kitchen. But using things like dried beans are the cheapest, the most affordable way to go. But what they take is time to cook and to plan. Um, so I think, and I really think, yeah, there's Trader Joe's that's actually I hear Trader Joe's is fairly affordable, but let's take Whole Foods. not to, I guess, call out any particular names, but
Example.
but the
Yeah, for
idea that you can only, yeah, the idea that you can only get healthy food in places like that, I think is a wrong way to think. You can definitely go to Food Line, you can go even to Dollar General and find plenty of ingredients that you can use in order to make a healthy meal. I think just having some base knowledge of how to cook dried beans, legumes like lentils are so protein packed. They're so good for blood sugar regulation, and they're inexpensive. And those actually do cook really quickly. And then, you can also, like, I know Dollar General has a lot of canned vegetables, and you just have to make sure you rinse everything, because most of those come with sodium, and what you don't want is a whole bunch of sodium in your system. So that, I do believe in the vibrancy of food, and the fresher that you can get it, the closest you can get it to the actual source, the better. If you think of eating a banana from the store these days, they're not very palatable because they are picked way before they are ripe in order for them to get shipped thousands and thousands of miles. They also, put them in trucks that have gas that's released in order to ripen them. And it's just a really, it's far from nature. It's far from nature's cycles. Um, so I think eating locally, especially in a place like the Low Country,
yes.
we're very fortunate here to have year-round food. So I think if you really like peel away all the layers, it's really just getting back to whole foods that aren't processed. Processed foods might be cheap or inexpensive, but you're going to pay in the long run. Yeah, you're going to pay in the long run with your health, and with that, healthcare expenses and medication and just quality of life. So investing on the front end and picking a day of the week, Sunday is a great day to do some meal planning and meal prepping, I think is the way that you can keep healthy eating very affordable and accessible.
Thank you. River, would you like to chime in on that question?
Absolutely. Marie, I think I loved your answer, right? And the point that I really want to really kind of shed some light on is the investment, right? You must invest in your health, right? I feel like nowadays we live in a society where it's all about go get a bag, right? But if you don't have a body to spend that bag in, what's the real point? Right? So when we look at health and wellness and when we look at holistic health, it really has to be in an investment. I might hurt somebody's feelings saying this, but y'all not arguing with Popeyes or Chick-fil-A or McDonald's, So it really kind of comes back to where you're gonna put your coin. And I understand that sometimes access is a real problem. That's why there are amazing people like Miss Kelly here that, they're doing amazing work in the community. But just to kind of get back to you are what you eat, it's real, right? The thing about eating that I want to bring up is it's tied to your habits, right? It's like I don't believe what people say to me. I believe their habits because at the end of the day, their habits are that's what's going to kick in, right? So as I think about, you are what you eat and how affordable food can be, it really kind of comes down to you taking the necessary steps to secure your life and your family's life by investing in that extra time that it takes to meal prep, that extra time that it takes to drive to a farmer's market to get locally sourced food, right? I think the biggest thing that comes to mind when I think about this is investment. And it's just like we have to invest in ourselves if we want to see any type of real sustainable change within our community. And it really takes us, it takes an outlier, it's really, funny because, at like my family gatherings, they'll be like, oh yeah, we got the rabbit food for you, and it's so funny because it's just like, regardless, if somebody gets sick, people are coming to me asking me questions about how, can they feel better? What can they do? What are some things, right? So at the end of the day, it really takes you really kind of stepping up. And even if everybody's going to the right, you choose to go to the left because you know that that's the right path. So, back to not to the argument, but back to the statement, you are what you eat. um, and just affordability and accessibility. I think all of these are great points, right? But it's going to take some real discipline and some real self-love to get to the root of this problem, because it's really rooted in how we feel about ourselves, because you won't accept anything that you don't feel like you deserve, right? So it really goes into the mind, right? It's like earlier I said, holistic health is more than just what you put in your body. It's the thoughts you think. It's the people you keep around yourself. It's a lot easier to eat junk food when everybody else around you is eating junk food, but it's a lot easier to eat healthy if you keep people around you that are also doing the same thing.
So true, so true. Um, Great information. I do want to fall back real quick on before I ask the next question and support a statement that both of you all have made, connecting to stigma. Stigma is one of our biggest barriers right now with making these lifestyle changes. And I know personally when I was making my lifestyle change with being conscious of a healthy eating lifestyle, um, two things that stick out to me with making this change: education and investment. um, I had to educate myself on the process, which takes time. And you all both have shared that. One of the things that I was approached with was, if you're eating like this, Marcus, Mr. Wellbeing, where's your protein? And one of the things in research and looking at was that if you believe that protein is coming from a cow, and cow eats grass, where is the cow getting the protein from? Uh, that's one point on the level of education. Investment. From the investment standpoint, again, within my profession, we are focused on healthy lifestyles, which create healthy outcomes within our family, within ourselves, within our community. Um, we never question investment when it comes to clothes, to makeup, to pedicures, manicures, shoes, houses, cars. This is the greatest house that we have is our temple. And so if our temple goes down, then we go down. That leads me up to the question that we have in the queue, and it says, do you have any suggestions for people suffering from joint joint inflammation? And River, we'll start with you, and then I would love to hear from Maria as well. Inflammation in the joints.
Absolutely. So what I would recommend for joint inflammation is purple sea moss gel. Um, that's what I personally would recommend. It's high in magnesium, so that helps with circulating blood throughout the body. And what we have to understand about inflammation is just a reaction in the body based off of our lifestyle. So once you're able to kind of correct your eating, then a lot of these things will be corrected. I might, get a couple of eyes when I say this, but there's no reason why you should be eating 3 meals a day, personally. And this is just my personal input, because you don't give your body's not given the proper amount of time to break down that food, number one, and then heal your body. Number two, if you're eating super late at night, then that food is just sitting inside of your stomach at night. And that doesn't help. Imagine if you took some raw meat, and threw it in a jar and let it sit for 2 months and then opened it back up, right? What's it gonna smell like? Now imagine that inside of your body, right? So a lot of these diseases, you got to look at it dis-ease. So a lot of these diseases can be corrected just based on us skipping maybe one meal, right? Or eating a little bit less. Our body wants to keep us alive and lively, but it can't if all it's doing is breaking down food all day, every day.
It's good. Thank you. Thank you. Maria, inflammation, joint inflammation.
Yeah, I agree with everything River has said. Joint inflammation, it's just inflammation. There's inflammation in the body. It's just manifesting in your joints. So I think, yeah, this is kind of another thing that, you got to look at the basics, the foundation of your being. So like, what are you putting into your body? How, is there a lot of sodium? Is there a lot of oil in what you're eating? Are you getting enough movement? Are you staying hydrated? And are you managing stress? Stress
Mm.
is, I hear it referred to as like the silent killer. It is. It is. We are not meant to be attached to this and be consuming everything that's on this and hearing all of these things that are going on everywhere, and then also dealing with family and friends and jobs. It's just a lot. It's a lot. And stress causes inflammation. So, or it can cause inflammation. So, kind of looking at yourself holistically, not just from the perspective of food, which is a solid part of our foundation, but all of it. Are you moving? I always think of, if you think of, our body is primarily made of water, right? We have, I think, I don't know, 70% water,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
possibly 60, 70% all. So if you think of a body of water that has no movement, what happens? It grows algae, it becomes stagnant, it becomes smelly. And that is us. Are we stagnant? Are you moving? Are you flushing your system? Are you giving yourself time to digest your meals? Like River said, eating late at night and then going straight to bed is real tough on your body. Your sleep is supposed to be when your body is repairing and rejuvenating. So, going for a little walk after you eat in the evening, I think is a great way to make sure things are moving. And then when you wake up, you have an immediate elimination, because we don't want all of that stuff sitting in our system. So, yes, I think it's good to incorporate flax. Flax is really good. Omega-3s for your joints, for inflammation. Walnuts are really good. Anti-inflammatory, not just anti-inflammatory, but also good for brain health. So yes, there are foods,
Name that one more
ginger,
time, Maria.
turmeric.
Name that
Yeah.
one more
Mm-hmm.
time, if you don't
Turmeric was
mind.
really good.
Mm-hmm.
Turmeric, and if you live in the low country, you can get it locally, freshly grown on John's Island. Turmeric, ginger, drinking a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of
Mm-hmm.
turmeric tea at night is so good. And flaxseed meal is very good to introduce to your diet. Any kind of seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, flax seeds, those are all really good. Stick to the seeds, the nuts. But I think thinking of it in terms of moving your body so that you eliminate fully every day your body. My mom passed um from uh colon cancer, and she had signs for many years that her body was not processing what she was putting into it. And that then sticks in your system and becomes stagnant, and it becomes toxic to your system when you have food that's just sitting in there. So you have to look at, are you eliminating? Do you have good energy? Do you have good sleeps? Those are all signs of your state of health. So yeah. Sorry, that might have been a very long answer.
No, 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 no. That was
Oh,
spot on.
good. Oh, great.
That was spot on. Yeah. And I think what you touched on is pretty common with this conversation that we're having around educating ourselves is that there's just not one thing. There is the totality of it
Mhm.
within the framework of holistic when it comes to a healthy lifestyle and healthy eating. Um, with that being said, I want to touch on one of the questions that is kind of related to tradition, traditional eating. I know that traditionally we have come up eating a certain way, especially being a man of color. And I have found that to be a personally a struggle. And River, I think you said it, family gatherings, cookouts, or whatever,
Mhm.
um, separating that, creating boundaries, um, which can create a stronger, healthy eating when it comes to lifestyle. But the struggle is real when it comes to stepping into this realm because traditionally we have not been escorted into this realm of healthy eating. What can we do to help break the mindset of the traditional way of eating? What can we do? This is actually in my wheelhouse right now, but I want to lean on my panel. What can we do to create that healthy lifestyle of eating when it comes to fighting the tradition? Because traditionally, um, and Maria, you said it as well. Commercial TVs, internet, nobody is going to tell us we shouldn't eat 3 times a day because they're pushing breakfast on us, lunch, and dinner. And of course, what they're pushing on us is not healthy at all. Um, how can we help create that mind space for this change? And River, you can go first.
All right, no problem. So I think what's very important before I answer this question is everyone must understand that we eat based off of our emotions, right? So, because of the dark history behind, the origins of the United States, slavery, everything associated with it, we have hundreds of years of trauma that is still within us, right? And we eat based on that emotion. It's just passed on through each generation. So I think before we get into the eating, we have to seek mental help and mental clarity because the body follows the head. It means nothing if the mind isn't right because the body's going to follow the head. So as we kind of think about that and reflect on that, I think that's a very important part of this is understanding that it's just like we have to have these conversations, right? And then moving from that, I also think it's important that it starts with us today. I think sometimes we get into these spaces where it's like, oh, we've been doing this for this amount of years. Let's just keep doing it. It's like, oh, we've been eating like this, nothing changed. Well, I'm gonna die anyway, so I can just eat this pig. It's fine, right? But I think that it really starts with our mental awareness and understanding how these different things affect how we live our lives, right? And how they affect how we think and feel about ourselves. Because remember, emotion and eating is tied together, right? When we fast, we don't fast because we're trying to starve ourselves. We fast because it's an emotional discipline, right? So I think as a people, until we really understand that, it's going to be hard for us to change our minds, right? But then we also have to think about the systematic racism that's in play every day, right? If I'm barely making enough money to barely afford this food, to barely afford my rent, to barely afford this, I'm not gonna have time to think about, oh, well, what's a healthier option, right? I have to make sure my, food's on the food's on the table for my kids. I have to make sure that I have the opportunity to provide for my family, right? So it's all systematic, right? This just didn't happen just because, right? So I think, especially for us Black and Brown people, we have to understand that it's all rooted in trauma. And until we start addressing those traumatic issues and start finding ways to reconnect with our original culture, then we're not going to, like, nothing is going to change, unfortunately. It's like one of my mentors, Dr. Tao, told me this. He's like, we're like saltwater fish, right? And someone took us, this saltwater fish, and threw us in some fresh water. And we're trying to survive. We're surviving, but we're barely surviving. But we're surviving just enough to make it over the hump. It's a survival game for us out here. And that's what people have to realize. In order to control the people, you have to control what they put in their mouth. If you control what they put in their mouth, you don't even have to do anything else. It's like they'll fall right into it.
And it's a blue book, it's a playbook along with that Maria said it earlier. Nobody makes money with everybody
Exactly.
well.
Right.
I also want to make a statement before I ask Maria if she'd like to chime in. Culture wise, what can help reset our minds when it comes to healthy eating? And here's the question that I was asked: Am I eating to live or am I living to eat? When I
Mm.
had to receive and digest that question, that started my path on education and changing my lifestyle. Maria, would you like to provide us with some feedback in the area of changing the mindset of those when it comes to a healthy eating and healthy lifestyle? What are some of the steps? And I say that to say, two people, you two that are on the line, your moods are great. There's a reason why your moods are really good, why you flow, why you vibe, why you smile. There's a reason behind that. Maria Kelly, can you support us with some information, just your take on the concept of the mindset of healthy eating and healthy lifestyle? What are some steps that we can take when it comes to mindset?
First, I want to acknowledge River's previous answer because I feel like that's very powerful. It's good for me to hear things like that. I I think I think what River said is pretty powerful, that you have to recognize self-love. And that is going to help you triumph over the, I'm going to say, recent traditions of, the barbecues and the, overconsumption of that type of food. Because if we think about our ancestors, they weren't eating that much meat because they couldn't get it that often, and they were eating lots of nuts and seeds and fruit and what was available. So thinking in terms of like, that's getting us back to our roots. Our roots are
Mhm.
our roots are an innate ability for our bodies to heal and be healthy. That is our
Mhm.
God-given state. We are born like that in most cases. Um, and so yes, it is the trauma and the history and the recent traditions that then shape our way of eating, um, and the systematic ways of our society. That is
Yeah.
absolutely true. So I think really changing the mindset into the self-love, and that we ha- we have the ability to age in a healthy way. We have that ability. It is our
And
natural
and
state of
and,
being.
and opportunity.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. That's right. So, I think yes, it can be overwhelming. I think especially if you're coming from
Hmm.
eating out a lot and eating fast food and there might be many factors working against you or obstacles in your way of changing that, but I think keeping it real simple uh it has to be the way that you go into it. Don't overcomplicate it.
Absolutely.
It's not complicated. We have to go back to whole foods, what comes from the earth in its most natural state is really I think an important way to kind of flip the script that it's has to be complicated. I think starting with the basics of cutting out ultra processed foods, um, introduce cutting out all soda that
And
has got to go.
And Maria, could you give an example? Because you're actually answering a question that I was going to come to you on. We
Okay.
have about 10 minutes left, but can you give an
Okay.
example? You are answering this question. It says, I'm interested in a new relationship with food. What are some single steps that I would take in starting this new relationship without getting overwhelmed? You gave an
Yeah.
example of a term. You said
Ultra processed.
ultra processed. Can you give some examples of ultra processed foods and how to stay away from them with some baby steps and
Okay.
into this new relationship? We have about 10
When
minutes.
you when you walk into the grocery store, do not hit the middle aisles.
Ooh,
Stay away
ooh.
That's
from
a
the
good
middle
one. That's a
aisles.
good one. That's a
The
good
middle
one.
aisles are full of the foods that want to kill you. So you do the perimeter of of the store. So the perimeter is all your produce, and that is actually what comes first in most stores if you move to the right, right? Almost all stores, you go to the right and it's all the produce. So you want to start in the produce aisle and you want to get your inspiration in the produce aisle. And then, yes, as you make your way, you will go to the meat, the seafood, and the dairy. So I am not going to say that the first steps are to cut out all of that because that can be very overwhelming and a lot to ask.
Hmm.
So I am going to say introduce try to introduce 3 new vegetables or fruit every week and then get some familiar ones. So if squash, zucchini is familiar to you, cucumber, um, I'm thinking the ones that are in season right now, get some of those and then get a couple new ones. And that's what we do use this little device for, or get a new cookbook. We
Supposed
have
to.
some great cookbooks in our shop.
Hmm.
Get inspired there.
Absolutely.
So start in the produce and load up on some produce. Um,
Hmm.
Great
yeah,
answer.
Yeah.
I
And
would
like
say
like a
that.
meatless Monday, like, incorporating one,
Yes.
meal a week, that helps. Like maybe doing like one day a week doing like a fruit fast where you just do fruits, right? It's just there are small things like that. You can do meditation in the morning. The one thing that I love to do is I love to drink hot lime water in the morning because it helps to detox the body and it helps to clean the liver. And we know that the liver is the body's natural filtration system, right? So it's just like you can do that. You can do chamomile tea. That's amazing for the nervous system. Drink that at night. What else? You can do like a new cookbook, right? You could do that. Like there's so
Hmm.
many ways, but you can do this with your family. It's not something that you have to do alone.
That's right.
These conversations need to be had, right? And these different experiences need to be had, especially with our children, right? It's like in order to save a group of people, you must invest in their children, right? Start doing it with your kids. Maybe doing like, y'all can do pizzas. Like I remember when I was young, my mom did like this little like thing where we had like the biscuit crust and we pushed it out, we put sauce on it, and we made like veggie pizzas, right? It's like those small things that you can kind of incorporate into your everyday. All of that helps because it's all about interaction, right? If you're able to make a positive stamp in someone's mind, they'll remember it forever. Why not do that while introducing them to healthy foods at the same time?
I love
Great
it.
info.
I
Great
love
info.
those.
I also want to support that question from this individual by saying, read your ingredients. Read
Yes.
your ingredients and do research on the ingredients because you're putting that in your body. And
Right.
whatever you put in is gonna come out, and you don't know how it's gonna show up when it comes out. Again, I am in the mental wellness field. I have these two wonderful people in my life to lean on, along with someone else when it comes to the food area. But along with mindset and mood swings, also come from what people are putting in their body. Read your
Hmm.
ingredients. We are winding down with the night, and before we get off, I do want to save space for both Maria and River to leave information on how they can be contacted and supported. Um, Two amazing people doing great work in the community. And I do have a final question for each one of you, separate questions. River, the question for you is, what is the benefit of black seed oil? What is the benefit of black seed oil? And
Um,
Maria, the question for you is, I do not know how to cook. How can I start my process if I don't know how to cook? And if both of you, we have about 3 minutes left. If both of you could answer those questions, that would be great.
All right, cool. So black seed oil is anti-inflammatory. It really helps with like pain relief. It also is an immune system booster. It really helps with gut health. And what we know about our gut and our brain is they're aligned with the same cells. So your brain and your stomach are connected. So the more that you're eating healthy foods, the more that it helps with your cognitive thinking skills. Black seed oil also helps with skin and hair. It soothes eczema, psoriasis, any type of acne. So you can really put it in like a face mask. It also helps with respiratory health, gut and liver health. And why I want to focus on that liver health is your liver is your body's natural filtration system, right? So if the body can't naturally filtrate the foods and the processed foods that you're eating, then it comes out through your largest organ, which is your skin, right? So we have to
Hmm.
make sure that we're taking care of our gut health and our liver health because that is like the highway to this disease or you live in a healthy life. It also helps with blood sugar and heart health, and it's antibacterial and antiviral. So black seed is like one of my go-tos. Like I use it every rising. I take like a spoonful of black seed oil, and honestly, just me personally, the benefits just super outweigh the taste. The taste is a little peppery, I'm not gonna lie to you, but that black seed oil is definitely a game changer. Like in the rising, I'll take a spoon of sea moss, black seed oil, hot lemon or lime water. I'll take some moringa and some cloves because that helps with gut
Hmm.
health. And that's like my normal every, rising routine. And, as you can see,